Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging headfirst into the world of, well, one of history's most iconic and impactful authors, Charles Dickens.
Yeah, Dickens.
Ah,
Fantastic.
yeah. If you've ever felt the grit of Victorian London streets beneath your feet through a book, or maybe found yourself deeply moved by the struggles of an orphan protagonist,
hmm
then you know the unique power of his storytelling. You, our listener, recently enjoyed the 2002 film adaptation of Nicholas Nickleby.
The good one, yes.
And that's our perfect launching pad into his rich, imaginative, and deeply critical world. Our mission today is to explore the rich material you've provided, looking at everything from online discussions about his best adaptations to these really in-depth analyses of his literary genius and, importantly, his profound social impact.
Right.
We're aiming to go beyond just recommendations, to understand why his stories resonated so deeply back then, and honestly why they continue to feel so relevant now.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is how the conversation around Dickens just seamlessly weaves together that appreciation for his masterful storytelling with a deep understanding of his powerful social commentary.
Exactly.
So today we'll explore how his own incredibly formative experiences really shaped his entire literary career. We can dissect the unique techniques he used to bring his worlds to life.
Yeah, the craft of it.
And then connect all of that to why certain adaptations truly capture his spirit. It helps you understand not just what makes a good Dickens adaptation, but maybe why it authentically reflects his original vision.
Okay, so to truly understand how Dickens crafted these vivid worlds and these, well, sharp critiques, we really have to start at the source, his own incredibly formative experiences. Many people know of Dickens, right?
Oh, sure, the name.
But maybe fewer realize the raw personal crucible that forged his literary voice.
It's quite astonishing, actually, how different his reality was from what many might imagine. He was born in 1812, Portsmouth. His early life was far from comfortable. And then, at the tender age of 12, a truly traumatic event struck. His father was imprisoned.
In debtor's prison.
In the Marshalsea debtor's prison, yes. And this forced young Charles, just a boy, mind you, to work long, grueling hours in a boot-blacking factory.
Oh, wow. Doing what?
Pasting labels on shoe polish bottles, in squalid conditions, apparently under cruel masters. This period, it was only about 4 months, but it left this indelible mark.
I can only imagine.
It shaped his views on poverty, social justice, education. It truly ingrained in him the belief that, quote, money and position in Victorian England meant everything.
So it's clear these weren't just difficult years. They were the fundamental experience that forged his literary voice. How specifically did those raw experiences translate into the very fabric of his narratives?
Well, that visceral understanding of grave inequalities gave him a deep, authentic insight into life's disparities. It directly enriched his writing with a truthfulness few could match.
You feel it when you read it.
You do. And this personal empathy, it fueled his determination to expose social ills. He actually transitioned from being a parliamentary reporter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, which was a career that honed his ear for conversational speech, class mannerisms, gave him valuable insights into society's workings.
Right.
He moved from that to being a novelist precisely because he realized fiction allowed him to reach a much broader audience and convey powerful messages for social change in a way, let's face it, dry reports never could.
What I find particularly fascinating, and you touched on it,
Yeah.
is how Dickens didn't just write great stories. He pioneered a way of telling them that fundamentally changed publishing itself. How did he manage to keep readers so utterly hooked, week after week, month after month?
His really innovative approach was serialization. Most of his greatest novels were first published in monthly or weekly installments in magazines.
Which sounds normal now, but wasn't then.
Not at all. This was revolutionary. Serials were typically for, inexpensive reprints or trivial nonfiction. But for Dickens, it cultivated this unique, almost communal reading experience.
It's like waiting for the next episode of a TV show.
Exactly. Imagine readers across England discussing cliffhangers, debating character fates. Some even wrote to Dickens to plead for a character's survival.
No way. Did he listen?
Sometimes. It blurred the lines between author and audience, making each novel this living, evolving entity, almost like a precursor to today's interactive fan communities, you could say.
That's amazing.
And this format proved enormously popular. It made him a celebrity at just 24 with the Pickwick Papers. Its circulation soared from 400 copies to 40,000.
Wow, 24. So this serialization wasn't just a publishing format. It truly launched him into a new league of literary stardom very, very quickly.
Absolutely, it changed everything for him.
Okay, so beyond the structure, what about his actual writing style? How did he craft those unforgettable characters and scenes that stick with you?
Well, his writing style was incredibly distinctive. Very energetic prose, a real flair for the dramatic, and an almost forensic eye for detail.
Forensic, I like that.
Yeah. His sentences were often complex, intricately woven with multiple clauses, which sort of reflected the complexity of his themes. He employed a rich, expansive vocabulary, sometimes even including archaic terms, and he was a true master of dialogue. He brought characters to life through their distinct voices, their idiomatic expressions, which often served as subtle or sometimes not so subtle social commentary.
And he wasn't afraid to use humor for a serious purpose, was he? Can you give an example where that combination felt particularly, I don't know, jarring or effective?
Oh, definitely not afraid. He masterfully blended humor with biting satire to critique society, often using exaggeration to highlight absurdity.
Like you began.
Well, think of Great Expectations, where he describes a character soaked in water and smothered in mud and lamed by stones. The sheer piling on of misfortune becomes almost darkly comedic, you know?
Yeah, it's over the top, but makes a point.
Exactly. He also employed powerful symbolism, like the toxic London fog in Bleak House, which is often read as symbolizing society's pervasive ills, or the guillotine in A Tale of Two Cities, representing that institutionalized revolutionary chaos.
Right, symbols you don't forget.
And he skillfully used character foils, too, like the ruthless Madame Defarge contrasted with the loyal Miss Pross in A Tale of Two Cities. These characters sort of highlight each other's traits through opposition, making their virtues or vices even more pronounced. And many of his novels, like Oliver Twist and Great Expectations, are classic examples of the Bildungsroman genre.
A coming-of-age story.
That's it, focusing deeply on the moral and psychological growth of the main character, from childhood innocence to, well, adult understanding.
It's so clear Dickens wasn't just entertaining. He was actively exposing the harsh realities of his time, holding a mirror up to Victorian society, forcing people to see its flaws. What's truly astounding to me, though, is that he, just with pen and paper, achieved what modern NGOs sometimes struggle with today. Creating public outcry so powerful, it led to actual legislative reforms. How did he manage that?
That's a really key observation. His deep concern with the injustices of industrial capitalism, unchecked economic growth, it just permeates his work. He fearlessly depicted the plight of the poor, the brutal labor conditions, the shocking treatment of children.
Things people maybe didn't want to see.
Exactly. And he often created such a public outcry that it pressured authorities for tangible change. He proved stories could be a catalyst for reform, maybe more effective than political pamphlets. It was like a masterclass in empathy-driven advocacy.
Can you give us some specific examples? Like, how did he do this in his novels? For instance, with Nicholas Nickleby, which you mentioned, our listener recently saw the adaptation of.
Certainly. Well, in Oliver Twist, he starkly depicted the struggles of the poor, the corruption within workhouses, the criminal underworld, that directly led to widespread public discussions about the poor law.
Okay.
As for Nicholas Nickleby, it dramatically shed light on the inhumane conditions of those Yorkshire boarding schools. Boys Hall, right?
Yeah, unforgettable.
That spurred public outrage and definitely contributed to significant reforms in the education system. And then you have Hard Times, where he delivered this searing critique of the dehumanizing effects of industrialization and utilitarianism.
Utilitarianism. Explain that a bit.
That philosophy where everything is judged solely by its practical usefulness and efficiency, often at the expense of human emotion or imagination. Thomas Gradgrind, the character in Hard Times, is the embodiment of this, obsessed with facts, devaluing imagination, essentially reducing individuals to mere tools for production.
Grim. So he wasn't just showing suffering, he was humanizing it, giving a voice to those who often went unseen or ignored.
Precisely.
But wasn't there a risk, maybe, that by making his characters so pitiable, he might inadvertently romanticize poverty rather than just expose its harshness? How did he balance that?
That's a sharp question, and it's debated sometimes. While he undeniably evoked immense empathy, I'd argue he rarely romanticized the conditions of poverty. He gave the lower classes personal narratives, dreams, emotions, yes. But he also depicted the grinding toll it took. Characters like Bob Cratchit and Tiny Tim in A Christmas Carol, or Joe the street sweeper in Bleak House. They fostered immense empathy and undeniably influenced attitudes towards poverty and philanthropy.
So focusing on their humanity within the grimness.
Exactly. And he also systematically critiqued the institutions, not just individuals. His portrayal of the labyrinthine, inefficient chancery court in Bleak House, with lawyers like Mr. Voles deliberately prolonging cases for profit.
Yeah.
That contributed significantly to legal reforms in the 1870s. Similarly, Little Dorrit exposed the dehumanizing conditions of debtors' prisons, drawing on his own family history, sparking public outcry. He urged society to change, advocating for a more empathetic, more equitable world, but without sugarcoating its harsh realities.
And his criticisms weren't just abstract ideas. They were so vividly rooted in the very streets and alleys he knew. In fact, it truly felt like London itself was a living, breathing character in his novels, didn't it?
Oh, it absolutely did. Dickens referred to London as his magic lantern.
Magic lantern.
Yeah, like it fired his imagination, constantly shifting scenes, characters, emotions flickering past him, inspiring his every word. He even stated that a day in London sets me up and starts me.
Wow.
His early descriptions, first published as sketches by Boz, they really laid the groundwork for how he would immerse readers in the city's character. He made the city's grim realities and its vibrant life inseparable from his narratives.
And what are some of the iconic locations he brought to life that still resonate today, places people might even visit?
Oh, definitely. In Oliver Twist, you literally follow the Artful Dodger and Oliver through the grimy streets to Fagin's lair in Saffron Hill. And that dramatic final scene of Bill Sykes' death on Jacob's Island near Folly's Ditch, it feels utterly real and terrifying even reading it now.
Yeah, it does.
For Little Dorrit, the Marshalsea debtors' prison in Southwark, where his own family lived, it's not just a setting, it's a central oppressive character in the book, and you can actually still see a remaining wall today.
Really? That's something.
Yeah, and he also referenced specific inns in the Pickwick Papers, like the George and Vulture, the Golden Cross, places that are still on pub crawl guides.
Huh. That's brilliant.
These detailed, often gritty depictions of the city's slums and bustling streets weren't just backdrops. They powerfully illustrated the stark social inequalities he critiqued. They made London itself this vivid, breathing character that amplified his themes of squalor, injustice, but also human resilience.
Okay, so with this incredible context, Dickens's life, his revolutionary style, his searing social critiques, it's fascinating to consider how these elements get translated or sometimes lost in adaptation. Which brings us back to your original question, listener, especially given your recent enjoyment of the 2002 Nicholas Nickleby film.
Yeah.
What makes an adaptation truly stand out and capture that Dickensian feel?
Yeah.
Especially beyond the ubiquitous A Christmas Carol.
It's a great question. When it comes to film, David Lean's adaptations of Great Expectations from '46 and Oliver Twist from '48, they're often considered the definitive version.
The gold standard.
Pretty much, yeah. Lean truly grasps the atmospheric depth, the character complexities. George Cukor's David Copperfield from 1935 is also wonderful, and Carol Reed's musical Oliver from '68.
Oh, Oliver, yeah, classic.
Highly recommended for their unique interpretations, even if one's a musical.
And for television series.
Yep.
Because his novels are long,
Yeah,
sometimes the series has the breathing room needed, right?
exactly. The BBC adaptations of Bleak House from 2005.
That was amazing. Gillian Anderson.
Yes. And Little Dorrit from 2008. They're widely regarded as the benchmark for television adaptations. They brilliantly translate Dickens' sprawling narratives, the complex character webs, that often satirical tone. They capture the immersive atmosphere and the social commentary really well.
What else on TV?
The 1994 BBC adaptation of Martin Chuzzlewit is very well regarded, and the 1985 BBC version of The Pickwick Papers is also much loved for its faithful spirit.
Okay, good recommendations.
Oh.
Any other interesting or perhaps unique adaptations we should be aware of? Maybe one that really digs into the social commentary you've highlighted.
Absolutely. The 1999 Hallmark adaptation of A Christmas Carol starring Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart as Scrooge. Interesting.
Yes. And it's frequently cited as maybe the most Dickensian because it adheres so faithfully not just to the plot, but to the book's core social justice themes. It makes Scrooge's transformation feel deeply meaningful, less about just ghosts and more about societal responsibility.
I like the sound of that.
And Roman Polanski's 2005 film of Oliver Twist is notable, particularly for its exceptional portrayal of the final prison scene between Oliver and Fagin.
Oh, how so?
It captures Fagin's pitiable humanity, It's a nuance Dickens himself carefully put into the character despite the controversy around him. Dickens even created a character named Rhea in Our Mutual Friend years later, almost as a kind of apology for Fagin.
Really? Like Shakespeare and Shylock.
Very much like that comparison, yes. It just shows how these adaptations, when done well, can really illuminate the very heart of Dickens's complex characters and intentions.
Wow. Okay, what I'm really taking away from this deep dive is just how profoundly Charles Dickens was. Well, more than just a storyteller. He was a literary force who quite literally shaped his society.
No question about it.
From his personal hardships to his groundbreaking serialized novels, his scathing critiques of injustice, his work remains this powerful mirror reflecting not just the past, but often disturbingly our present too.
Indeed. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Dickens, through his masterful storytelling and his incredibly keen observations, managed to spark public outcry, influence tangible social reforms, all without the aid of modern communication, 247 news cycles, social media.
Just the power of the published word, installment by installment.
Exactly. He wasn't simply writing, he was actively shaping social consciousness through narrative, which I think raises an important question for you, our listener. In an age like ours, an age of information overload where we are constantly bombarded with news of social issues, what can Dickens's enduring legacy teach us about the unique power of deeply human storytelling, of empathy, to truly cut through the noise and inspire a more just, compassionate society?